I hope it doesn't fall.
We're all good. We're all good. Welcome. Thank you for being here, Elena. Thank you for being here, Donna. Hopefully we'll have a few more people file in here momentarily. But I do appreciate the time that you're spending with us today. Um, what I would love to do today is for a number of months, we've been inviting in top producers to the group and giving the top producer the opportunity to, really just share their story and share some advice and, answer a Q&A and um, share some advice that you have for agents. We've got kind of a mix of agents that are brand new to the business. We've got some agents that, like Donna, for example, who's, around a year or so, a little less than a year. Is that about right? Right, that are
Yep.
starting to have some success, obviously. And then we have agents that are, quite a bit more experienced and just doing well and kind of off to the next challenge of growing the real estate business, whether it be hiring help and taking more opportunities and classes and whatnot. So as of this moment, we have fairly new agents in the room. And so that is your audience. All these people are productivity coaching clients, and like you and like me, we all pretty much share the same goal, which is how can we use a real estate sales business to improve the quality of our lives, right? How can we earn the income that we want to earn for our families? How can we spend our minutes like we want to spend our minutes? Some of which in real estate, a lot of which outside of real estate. And you and I have known each other for a long time. Um, I know which joke you're already thinking in the back of your mind. We'll have plenty of time for that. Um,
Follow up, dude. Follow up.
yeah.
Yeah, we
Um,
have a private joke going on here, guys,
we'll,
about
we'll,
following up.
we'll tell you all about it. So what I'd like to do, Elena, is can you just share a little bit of your story? How did you end up finding real estate? How did you end up finding Keller Williams? How did you end up finding Roswell? Let's give everyone an opportunity to hear a little bit about your journey, and then we'll get into the weeds a little bit with some real estate advice. And feel free. I've got us earmarked, and Elena's been gracious enough to offer us an hour of her day. So we'll aim to end right about 1 o'clock. And hopefully we'll have some opportunity for you guys to either type in a question in the chat or raise your hand, or at a natural pause, you can throw out a question. So Elena, I'm going to turn over the floor to you. Actually, let me do a little introduction, okay? Elena and I'll go ahead and do you want to share I'll tell
No,
them.
you tell. You
Many,
tell the
many
story.
years ago, Elena, I forget the exact way this happened, but I think Elena and I almost worked together on a transaction, or like maybe it was a rental or something. And like I totally had the chance to recruit her to Keller Williams, and I totally bombed it. And she ultimately made her way to KW and didn't name me as a sponsor, which is all good. But every time that woman brings somebody to Keller Williams, which she's done quite a bit of, I'm like, man, that could have been me, right? Anyway, Elena's been a top performer for a long time. She has been in Roswell now for what, 5 or 6 years or so?
Four and a half.
4.5 years. She served on our Agent Leadership Council last year, so I'd love for you to share what that experience was like. And she also recently started a team with her husband. And she had, if I'm not mistaken, your best year ever was last year, right?
Yes, it was.
So, and how many times have we heard, oh, I'm not making light of this, please don't hear that. Oh, crazy year, coronavirus, and I can't sell any homes. Well, it doesn't have to be that way, right? And so when tragedy strikes and when kind of things go sideways, you get an opportunity to decide how you're going to react. And Elena, I was super proud to watch you from afar last year. And having served on the Agent Leadership Council with you, and been a friend of yours and a colleague of yours, I loved watching you and Tony just clobber 2020. And I'm excited to see what happens this year and further on into the future. So without further ado, this is Elena Corbett. And why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, please?
So, well, thank you for this introduction, Bill. That was very nice. And I'm going to start by telling you a story. I came to United States as a political refugee in 1990 with my family. Um, and 3 years later, well, 4 years later, I found myself without any family or friends. My parents and my brother moved to another city from Atlanta. I lost all of my friends because of my divorce with my first husband. And then Tony and I got married and immediately had a baby. So I was a stay-at-home mom in 1994, bored out of my wits. Um, I lost my career as a programmer because Tony and I worked together for the same company. And as soon as we got married, I was fired. And so here I am sitting at my house with a newborn and a 9-year-old, trying to figure out what's next. And what I didn't know was that I didn't want to go back to computer programming because it was 8 to 8, um, crazy deadlines, all the stuff I didn't like, plus very limited contact with people. And I'm a people person. So I was literally reading all kinds of self-help books and praying to God that He would lead me to something that would be more up my alley, in more interesting. And so one morning, I woke up and in my bathrobe, I decided to go and pick up a community paper. Now, our driveway was very long, and I was the girl that never stepped out of the house without high heels and lipstick and, fully dressed. And here I am in my bathrobe with a cup of coffee, walking down the driveway to pick up this paper. Why? I had no idea. I was in the daze. And my daughter was sleeping. So I picked up the paper, I opened it up, and back then there were classified ads in the paper. And it opened up on an ad requesting a loan officer with 4 years of experience. So I immediately picked up the phone and I called and I said, look, I don't have any experience, but I speak several languages and I know that there is a need for what I have. Because there's a lot of people coming from Soviet Union as political refugees, the same way I did, and there's nobody, to my knowledge, that can serve that part of the population of Atlanta. And I was hired that day as a loan officer, knew nothing about the business. They offered me training, which consisted of a 1 hour session where they taught me how to fill out a loan application. And then they printed me a box of business card and told me, go sell some loans. That was it. I was now in the business as a loan officer. First Russian speaking loan officer in Atlanta, 1995. So I came home and I was like, okay, now what? I gotta get business. I can't make any commissions without it, right? So I opened the phone book and started making phone calls to anybody whose name looked Russian. And within a day, I got 2 loan applications.
That's all.
I brought them to I drove to people's apartments. I took their loan applications like I was taught on paper. I picked up their documents and I brought them to the office the very next day and put them in production. And then we had the family scheduled vacation, so we left for a week. And I came back to 2 closings. And then those two families actually, one of them is a very successful real estate agent now at North Atlanta. So those 2 families gave me referrals. So the next month I had 4 loans to close. Then it became 10, then it became 20. Then I left the little company where I was because I outgrew them and joined the big bank with 150 loan officers. And for 3.5 years, I was one of their top producers. Absolutely not knowing what I was doing, not knowing nobody in this city, just working my referrals. That's how my business started.
Ladies and
And then,
gentlemen, agents of
say it again.
No, sorry.
Yeah. So I was in top 10, um, producing somewhere between 20 and 30 loans a month for a while. It was
That's a
crazy.
lot of work.
It was a lot of work. It was a lot of work. Tony and I had an agreement that I would only work part time. Well, that blew up quickly. So, fast forward to 2004, the mortgage business was changing, and there were all kinds of new regulations coming up, all kinds of new products coming up, which didn't look um, to me like they were ethical, and yet the mortgage companies were making us loan officers secure those loans. And basically, what I'm talking about is what caused the recession of 2008. And I felt that my values were no longer aligned with that. So I decided to create an exit strategy by getting my real estate license. And by
Right.
that time, Tony and I had a few investment properties. So we knew we wanted to buy and sell homes. And that was another reason why I decided to get my license. So I got my license, and on July 31st of 2004, as soon as I passed the exam and they handed me my brand new license, I stopped at the Keller Williams Atlanta North, which is on Roswell Road in East Cobb, and told the receptionist that I wanted to talk to the guy in charge.
You walked
So,
in there and you said, I want to talk to the guy in charge.
yeah, I want to talk to the guy in charge of the office. So she's like, well, do you have an appointment? I said, I don't need an appointment. I just got my license. Do you want it or do you not? So Robert Moss,
Wait a second. Wait a second. This is awesome. Okay. You know what? Do you see what happens when a woman has confidence? Not a woman, but a person has
a
confidence.
person, yeah. Yeah, I kind of got recruited to that office by a friend whom I met through my mortgage business. And also, she was one of the moms at my daughter's daycare. So, I wasn't just a cold person walking in, but I did
Well,
not have an
you were a
appointment.
loan officer who knew the business and you had integrity and you knew you were gonna, you knew you were gonna clobber this new this new
Right.
opportunity as well. I love that. You walked in, you know, where's Robert at?
Yeah. So Robert Moss comes out and he's like, who are you? And it's like, okay, like why are you here? I said, well, I just got my license. I don't want to let it get cold. I want to start working. And so he takes me to his office and he says, what makes you think, that I should hire you? And I said, what makes you think you should not? So, he kind of sat back and he's like, okay, do you want, so you want your license placed here? I said, absolutely. And he's like, so what you gonna do? I said, I'm just gonna go and sell a couple of houses tomorrow. And he says, okay, sounds like a good plan. So there it went. I mean, it wasn't easy, but that first year I sold 11 homes, and while still doing loans and still raising children and working part time. Okay.
Right.
So about one a month, a couple of vacations. I took every training that was offered that year. That was one of my goals. I wanted the knowledge, I wanted the systems, I wanted to know. And back then, Keller Williams was just starting out. That was 2004. It was a brand new company. It was still Keller Who.
Right.
Red signs were rare. It wasn't very common. You still had to break a lot of barriers. But I started out as primarily a buyer's agent. Um, I think that first year, only one or two of my transactions were listings. And I will tell you why that's important for you to know. The very next year, I got recruited to a team of 11 agents at Solid Source, and I left Keller. And I was recruited to be on that team with another four buyers agents. Very quickly, I became their top buyers agent. And that first year, well, that year and a half that I was there, I believe I closed about 50 transactions.
How many?
50.
You personally?
Hmm.
Good
They
for
were
you.
all buyers. They were all buyers that, now, one thing that I did not have to do with that particular team was I did not lead gen. I brought in my referrals. Um, that was about 20, 25 of the 50 transactions that I did. And then the rest of them were either calls on our listings or other, online buyers that they handed to me. I worked a lot of relocations at the time. It really taught me how to be very nimble and how to fly by the seat of my pants. Now, mind you, back then we didn't even have a GPS, so we had to use the map book. And I just recently tossed it into trash. It was about this thick and about that big.
I remember those. Yeah.
You remember those? Okay.
You used to
So we had to
have
we
to
had
look
to
up to
map
see.
out our routes by going to different pages and copying them and taping them together on the big table.
Oh
Remember
my
that?
gosh, I remember that. Yeah. And
And
like you had,
highlighting the routes and marking one house, the two houses. I learned during that year how to sell homes very quickly. My goal has always been to sell a house in 3 days or less. And I told my clients, I told because I worked relocation, they come to the city for 3 days. So I had to learn how to put them under contract at the end of those 3 days. So I worked out a pretty good system on how to do that. And I can teach a class about that. I actually did it one time last year, but I can do it again. So, worked as a buyer's agent, and then the team fell apart after a year and a half, and the team owner got fired from the company. So here I was again, reinventing what I was doing. Of course, all this time, I was asking my clients for referrals, and I was growing a database. So that was my, next natural progression. Just really working my database, networking in other places, and adding people to the database and asking for referrals. And so majority of my business is referral business.
how
I
big is your
have,
database right now?
so right now we're close to 1,400 in the database. Tony has done an absolutely phenomenal job. As soon as he joined me, he started working that. And he is coming into my office every week asking for a new touch content. He loves doing that. He loves sending out emails, mailers, all of this other stuff. So that he's been working on that primarily. And plus, we have a little marketing help that's a totally outside of our team, um, but we just pay them per delivery. So we've been doing a little bit of farming, different things, circle prospecting, direct mail.
What was your production last year?
So last year, depending on how you count it, but I was personally involved in about 27 units.
So that's you and Tony combined, basically, right?
Well, Lana was with us for a while.
Oh, right, right. Okay, so that's all the
That's
team
true.
business.
Mm-hmm.
So that's GCI at what, 250 or something?
Yeah, something like that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So this year, Tony and I just did our numbers and actually revised them this morning because we got a lot of stuff coming in. So our goal is 50 units, about 20 million in volume, and that should amount to about 600,000 in GCI. And 38 of these 50 units are already in the pipeline. So they're in various stages of nurturing, showing, and closing. We're actively working with 12 listings that are coming on soon and 26 buyers.
Whoa.
Yep,
How
yep,
exciting is that?
yep. So the goal here is to create another 12 listings for us, and it will be a volume of about 20 million.
That is phenomenal.
Mhm.
So walk us back to getting back to KW. Why did you come back?
I came back in 2016 because I felt that the company I was with, although it was very comfortable, 100% commission with the low $300 transaction fee and very low monthly fee, I felt that I wasn't getting the training and I didn't get any support from the company, no coaching, no systems. I just felt that I did everything I could by myself, but I wanted to do more. And I knew that I could only find that support and that coaching and those systems at Keller Williams. And that's why I actually started interviewing multiple Keller Williams offices. And I went back to Atlanta North to talk to the person that was in charge back then, and it didn't feel right for me. Um, so then I came to Roswell and I talked to Denise Buchanan, who was our team leader at the time, and it just clicked. After about
Very, very good at what she does.
yeah,
Very
and
good.
after about 20 minutes with Denise, I was like, okay, you don't need to tell me anymore. Where do I sign?
Exactly.
So I knew that that's what I wanted to do, and that's where I wanted to be.
That's awesome. So talk to me a little bit. By the way, if you have some questions, don't feel free to type them in the chat. We'll get to all of them. So Elena, one of the things that we work on a lot in here is routine, right? And kind of helping our people know that, you know, there's no like, I was kind of joking about this last night. Like there's no like chip that can be like inserted in you that's going to help you like learn how to explain all the contracts and know the market trends and like know how to negotiate all these kind of things, right? You got to go out there and do it. And in some respects, it's pretty monotonous, and in some respects, it's like pretty repetitive, and it also takes a good bit of time. So, can you walk us through a little bit of like how did you make peace with that? Like, how did you knowing that you needed to most likely replace a pretty healthy income, and you had a family to support and all these things. Like, how did you just kind of suck it up and say, yeah, I am growing a business here and it is going to take a lot of effort and I am committed to doing it. And so I'm just going to keep doing it. Like, what did that look like? Explain a little bit about your routine and your work ethic and maybe how that's changed over time.
So in the beginning, when I first started in real estate, it was all so new. I just wanted to learn. So everything, I got to give it to my husband. He made it very comfortable for me to just kind of do my own thing and do it part time. He, provided for us beautifully. And so I know this about myself. I do best when I'm not stressed. Although last year was a totally different ball game. But I do better when I'm not stressed, when I am at ease, and in the flow. And my biggest thing is customer service. I do not wake up ever thinking, how do I make $100 or $1,000? How do I make this commission check? I don't think about that. The money comes by itself when you wake up and you ask, what can I do today that's going to help somebody?
Mm.
And that's very important to me. I wake up and I jump off the bed real early every day. What can I do? How can I help somebody make their life better? And then the money just shows up from doing that
How did you get
consistently.
how did you get to be that way? How did that even happen? Because there's plenty of people that don't have that attitude. How did you get it?
Um, well, I think part of it is the way my parents raised me. And then the second part is just, all the coaching, all the training. I have had several amazing coaches through my lifetime that taught me those principles. I read a lot of books about that, and it's just something that is very dear to my heart. I don't think that there is a business without customers or clients. And no matter what we do, we are in some capacity in customer service.
Yeah,
So
just
if we
to
approach
clarify
everything
that
from
statement.
that perspective, then, we're going to be successful.
So just to clarify that statement, there is no business with no customers.
Exactly.
That is a fact.
Mhm. We're all, yeah, and you know what? I worked for a company before where our CEO would pick up the phone and say, "Hello, this is customer service." He made it very clear that no matter what you do, you are in customer service.
That's right.
Remember that.
Yeah, I like that idea. And we've also talked a lot lately about how we are always we're either public figures or we're about to be public figures,
Mhm.
right? And all of our behavior, online, offline, everything from the way you speak to the way you dress to the way where you might be seen, right, is for the public to know, right?
Yep.
So I can't express how important that stuff is. Um, what did you do last year that made you just have your best year? What changed?
Well, in a way, COVID actually helped.
How so?
Um, I am not normally the person that likes to sit still. Like I say, I wake up, I jump off the bed, and I want to run. I want to run all day and do all kinds of things. I want to go meet people. I want to go network. I want to see my friends. I want to have lots of activity in my life. Well, COVID kind of stopped all of that, and so what I had to do instead was refocus um, on things in the office, in my home office. And, we couldn't really leave and go meet people for a while. So I had to figure out different ways to network, different ways to touch people. Um, and that required me staying home a lot and staying at this desk right in front of this computer. So very first thing that Tony and I actually did was we started reaching out to our database and literally saying, hey, what can we do to help you? Everybody's having a hard time with this. What can we do? We started sending information about forbearance. We started sending information about all the things that were going on with the market
By
and
email,
explain.
text, mail? How did you? What What was the delivery method of that?
Mostly email,
Okay.
mostly email. I held some Zoom meetings. I created a little private group of business owners on Facebook that was attached to my business page. And I had like weekly networking meetings with those people, just literally talking about what everybody's pain points were, and just kind of created that forum, and everybody got a chance to ask for referrals and to talk about their business. And we had different businesses present in those groups, and unfortunately we had to stop because my production got to such a point that I could not support that anymore. The goal is to restart it again and to make it better and to make it bigger. So that's something I'm going to work on this year. But yeah, so we did all of those things. We did Zoom meetings, we did phone calls, we did emails, and people started asking questions. And when you get asked questions and you have a solution for their problems, you start getting business. So
I love that. We have to identify the problem, then we have to communicate that we are the solution, or we have access to the solution.
yeah. And so lots of people realize that they want to live in different areas. Some of them realize that they wanted a bigger house. Then we had clients that realized they want a newer house or a smaller house. So it's all individual, but we have a solution for all of these problems.
Right. So what do you see happening after this year? Like you and Tony doing 50 units, that's a lot. So who's helping you with all this stuff?
So we have a contract to close person. And like I said, we are paying to a marketing company to send out our mailers. We may change that slightly this coming year. Um, I'm going to evaluate what our first quarter closings will be before I make, that decision, because I'm a very strong believer in paying cash for everything. So the revenue has to come first.
Okay.
I'm
I
not
like
going to
that.
spend money I don't have. That's just not something that I'm comfortable with. So I have to create a certain amount of revenue before I can spend it.
Okay. I was gonna kind of I'm gonna put you on the spot, and I probably should ask this question privately before I ask it publicly, but if not, it'll be a coaching moment for all of us. I'm about to start talking about the importance of going to events like family reunion. So I'm
Hmm.
going to go out on a limb and say that family reunion for you and Tony is a no-brainer. So talk to us a little bit about your involvement with kind of some of the Keller Williams offerings outside of Roswell, and what impact that's had on you.
So last year, when I was a member of ALC, I got an amazing opportunity to go to a lot of ALC meetings and a lot of ALC coaching sessions. And forgive me, I don't remember the name of the person that was presenting to us, Bill, at our ALC retreat, but he drove a nail into my head, that if you were just doing your job by doing your daily activities and creating that one a day appointment, what you could do.
I'm trying to remember who that was. Was it Rick Hale?
It wasn't Rick Hale. Rick Hale, it was the day before that.
Okay, I got to think through who that was. I'm getting all the years
I
confused.
can't remember. Yeah, but
Okay.
the message though, the
Repeat
message
repeat
stuck.
the takeaway for us so it can hammer into.
So our job as agents is to make one appointment a day. One,
I've
not
heard Chad
20.
Himes say that before. Was it Chad Himes?
It wasn't Chad.
Okay.
I can't remember the name of the guy.
Now it's driving me crazy. Okay, so
And
we're
you
gonna
know,
say one
we're
appointment a day.
packing because we're moving, so everything is already in boxes. So you just forgive me, I can't look it up.
That's okay. So one appointment a day. If you would just do
One
one
appointment
appointment
a
a
day,
day,
whichever way it comes. Listen, if you wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning and your uncle calls you and says, "Hey, you know, my daughter wants to buy a house," you've made your appointment for the day. You can go and play if you have time.
yeah.
But if you wake up and nobody calls you with that business and you have to create it, then you better figure out where it's coming from, and you don't leave your desk until you make that appointment.
Wait,
Do you
so
hear me?
you also have a workspace that's designated, and you're working at home right now, right?
Yes.
But you're kind of dressed up for work. Why is that?
Well, I dressed up for you, Bill.
I
Normally, I dress up for
uh,
my
uh,
appointments.
I
I
think
will be honest
we're having a
with you.
technical
Unless I
difficulty
have a
here.
Zoom, I'm in my pajamas, guys.
I think we're having a technical difficulty here. Let me reset that fast. Okay, just kidding. Um, okay, let's what
No,
advice?
I told you I work best when I'm absolutely relaxed. So being in my pajamas with my cup of coffee in my home office, I'm surrounded by plants. You know, my cat is right here. It's a very comfortable space.
Awesome. Hey, give us some advice, Elena. You've had great years, you've had mediocre years, you've been at KW, you've been elsewhere. You got a ton of momentum right now. These are newer agents, right? Several of them have had transactions or are very close. They're dealing with the same stuff we're used to dealing with. We think we got something going and then it kind of stalls out, or like we thought we were going to get a listing and it goes to somebody else, or we don't even know where to start with the listing presentation. If you were like, if you had the 15 minutes of fame and like everyone was listening to you and you had a chance to like um, really impart some of your experience and your knowledge and expertise, what would you say?
Don't worry about any of this. Just do your daily activities.
Okay.
Make an appointment, even if you don't know how to present. Make your appointment and then figure it out. Okay, I got 30 minutes before my appointment. I'm doing this presentation. Who can I bring with me to do this for me?
Yeah.
Or who can I call that's going to walk me through you and give me the bullet points? And then you just fly and make them think that you're an expert, because you know what? You are licensed.
Right. And if you don't know, you know somebody who does know.
Yes, if you don't know, there's plenty of people that do. And let me tell you, I've I've walked in to listing presentations so prepared with all of my charts, with all of my graphs, with all of my speeches. And the minute I look through the house and I say, I know I can sell this, they told me, where do we sign? I didn't, and I was disappointed because I didn't get to do the presentation.
Right. Exactly.
And on the flip side of that, with all of this experience, with all of these years of, whatever, I've had some listing presentations where they told me at the end of 2 hour meeting that they're considering hiring their, daughter's friend or their aunt or, their next door neighbor as their agent.
Right.
Next.
Exactly. What
Don't
questions?
worry about it. It's all practice. No matter what you do, if you get to present, if you don't get to present, you practiced.
I
You
love
keep
that.
going.
Elena,
So, okay, who has some questions? Let's open it
Let's
up.
try.
can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Elena, you being a former loan officer, if you could think back to your time when you were in that role, how would you have liked to have been approached by a real estate agent? to kind of form that relationship to where maybe you might refer somebody that you met to that agent. Do you
Right.
have suggestions as for a new agent?
I love
So,
that question.
you know, it's a great question, and I'm so thankful that you asked, Travis, because when I started as a loan officer, now remember, I was working a very narrow market. It was a niche market, working with Russian immigrants. Very, very difficult situations. People brand new in the country, no credit, or, slightly damaged credit because they didn't quite know what they were doing. Not much of a down payment, low price points. My average price point at the time was about $80,000 home.
You
So,
find those anymore.
and at that time, there were about 6 or 7 Russian speaking agents in Atlanta. So I actually approached them as a loan officer saying, hey, I am talking to people that I'm pre-qualifying and pre-approving that now need homes. Would you mind if I send you referrals? Now that doesn't happen right now. I now work with about half a dozen of really good loan officers that never send me any referrals.
You got a couple of housekeeping things to
It's
go
a
over.
totally different business. What I will tell you as an agent, it is important to have really, really good lenders. And you need to have a number of them because different lenders specialize in different things. But you got to build relationships with those lenders and trust and know that they have your back. Because as a ex loan officer, I will tell you, if your loan officer doesn't do their job, your transaction is falling apart. You will have no closing. I don't care how hard you worked on that listing or how hard you worked with that buyer. And right now, working buyers is hard because everything is multiple offers. If your loan officer doesn't do their job, you fail.
Yeah.
So build those relationships, go and meet with those loan officers, talk to them about your goals, your dreams, see if your values align. That's super important. I don't work with anybody whose values do not align with mine.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Okay.
What would be an example of that?
I had worked with a top producer, loan officer before that unfortunately wasn't afraid to commit fraudulent activities.
Yeah.
And 2 of my transactions fell apart because he told me one thing where it was something else. And he's no longer on my list.
Yep. Yep. Any other questions?
Uh, like, what was your best? I'm trying to find my niche and with something that just really, really works for me. Like, I love being around people and stuff like that. But right now, it is what it is. So, what do you feel as far as like a strategy for marketing and advertising? I don't know what lane to go into in order for me to generate those clients, being that my spear is really not working for me. So do you have any advice of, hey, like if you're going to market, go here, do this? I think that's where I'm struggling a little bit with.
Ebony, what did you do before you
Property
became an?
management,
I'm sorry?
property management.
Okay. So you know some people that are renting. I
Yeah, they
imagine
don't
you know a lot
qualify.
of people that are renting.
I do, but they're their situations is just like, oh, there were situations and when I was working, at the various company. Unfortunately, I wish I could have worked for like an Amly property, which is pretty much on like your A and your B. I've worked for really rough properties, in Roswell, Sandy Springs. Love the people, but most of them are pipeline people, and I'm kind of like, I want some now people, so I'm working with them, but they're not. I don't feel like I'm putting all of the training that I'm learning from Keller Williams to use because I have no active people to practice on. I'm not
Yeah.
good with cold calling. I hate it with a passion, but I still semi commit to it, but I'm just not there yet. So I'm trying to find what's for me so that I can just hit go and keep running. And if that means, marketing, advertising, I'm so for it, but I just don't want to throw money, at a wall and see if it sticks if that's not the right company to do it with.
Right. So a couple of things that I would suggest. Number one, find yourself a young, hungry loan officer, a rising star of sorts, and join forces together to create a first-time buyer seminar.
Yeah.
And talk to those people that you have in your database or you just know and they already like you from your previous career. It might take you a year or two to nurture them, but they will be once you help somebody out of a rental situation and into a home ownership, they become your clients for life.
That's I agree with that completely.
And that's what happened with me and my first time buyers who were Russian immigrants. They became my clients and friends. And some of them I consider family. We are that close. So, yeah, it took a while to nurture all of that, but once they're yours, they will not go anywhere else. If you help them overcome such an obstacle, bad credit, whatever, they're yours. They won't leave you. So start with that. In the meantime, get some listings. Go knock on some doors. Maybe you don't have money for the mailers, but you have shoes. You can walk. Go sit somebody's open house. Get some referrals that way. Door knock the neighborhood before the open house and invite them over. One of the successful things that one of my coaches taught me is anytime you do an open house and it's a good traffic area, create a buzz around your open house by collecting donations for a local food bank.
I like that.
I have a question
Put
about.
a box, put a big box, for that's designated for donations in front of the door so they cannot enter that door without dropping something in. You're achieving a couple of things that way. You are helping people with food, which right now, because of COVID, there's so many families that are struggling. So that's number one. Number two, you're getting a buzz to your open house and you're showing them that not only you are an amazing agent, but you also have a ton of heart.
How do you tell people that that's happening and like to prepare them to bring a canned food or something?
Well, that's what the door knocking is all about. You knock on their doors and you say, "Hey, I just I'm doing an open house this Sunday.
Okay.
Here's my flyer, but I wanted you to come whether you're interested in the house or not, because I'm also collecting donations for the local food pantry or whatever, North Fulton Charities,
That's what
whatever you choose to do."
I just want to put that together on that's what you're doing when you're circle prospecting on
Sure,
Monday
sure.
or
You can call them with that, or you can door knock with that, and you invite them to come. And you don't have to stay if you don't want to look at the open house. But could you bring a can of food? I'm collecting donations. You get your name out that way.
I like
And when they come in and they drop off that food, be outside and take, or have somebody else with you to take their name and number. And they're going to ask you why, and you just you want to thank them and you want to enter into a drawing for a little gift. It doesn't have to be anything expensive. A $5 Chick-fil-A card is great. A $20 Target card is amazing. Don't get creative, don't get expensive. People don't care. They just want to be acknowledged.
Mhm.
And then, just watch that grow when you start doing that live on Facebook. And doing it publicly and showing people that, yeah, I am a winner and you win by working with me. So, yeah,
Thank
just a
you.
little something.
I like
Right.
that. Thank you.
Sure. And it doesn't cost you that much.
Exactly. Exactly. What other questions do we have?
I got one.
Sure, Travis.
Yes, I'm actually pretty excited. My business cards are about to be in, so I want to get those, out as fast as possible. But right across the street from me is a decent sized neighborhood with a beautiful golf course. It's really nice. I'm trying to find an excuse to get into that neighborhood and start knocking on doors and getting my card out there. I don't know who's going to tell me to pound sand or not even going to answer the door. What's something I can take with me, like a packet type information, something that gets me in front of just talking to some of the homeowners in that neighborhood? Because even if their house isn't for sale, I want to get to know the people there. And I do play golf at that golf course, but I can't now. Obviously, it's freezing. But I need an excuse to get into that neighborhood and be on those people's doorsteps without them telling me to go away. They think it's political, a political thing or something. Just a strategy.
Are there any current listings in that neighborhood?
There are a few, yes.
Any of them are with Keller Williams agents?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay, that's a shame.
Is there is it like a gated community or something?
No, it's not.
Is there a FISBO in that community?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Find out if there is a FISBO, Travis, and offer them to do an open house for them for one day.
Well, actually, take that back. I did look 2 days ago. There's not a FISBO in that neighborhood. There is some behind me. That neighborhood smells like a chicken processing plant. I don't want to go into that one. But no, the neighborhood I'm referring to, it's pretty big. There isn't a FISBO that at least came up where I looked. There are a few houses for sale, but I just really want to get in there and start meeting people in that community because the houses, are a good price range, and there's just a lot of them, and as a good golf course, which is I love golf, so I'm always around that. So it just seems like I could make friends and potential clients and add people to my database that live in that neighborhood. I just need an excuse to get in there.
Got you. Yeah, your best excuse, of course, would be to host an open house of some kind, because that literally would open a lot of doors. Short of that,
I mean, if you had a buyer that wanted to go move into there.
yeah, if you had a buyer, you could door knock as well and say, hey, I have a buyer who is looking to buy here. I do not recommend you do that if you don't have a buyer because, lying kind of gives people certain feel about you.
But I could say I prospect for buyers all the time, and I really want to showcase this neighborhood. But
I mean, you can try that, but I like to come from contribution. So, do you know of anybody who? Oh, here's what you can do. Look at the listings in the neighborhood and see if you can find the community disclosure that will point you to the HOA person.
okay.
Then
Those
what?
names and numbers are usually on community disclosure.
Okay.
And see if it's a person that actually lives in the neighborhood and if you can have a meeting with them.
Okay.
And here's the question, Travis, that I would ask of that person. What can I do to help your homeowners association? Can I do anything for your swim team? Can I do anything for the parents on the swim team? Can I provide water or snacks or anything, for the game? Do you have any kind of events that I could help you sponsor? Okay, now all of that sounds expensive, but it doesn't have to be. You can join forces with another agent or a loan officer that has, that can help you with the money if you do all the legwork.
Okay. Because that place, when the spring weather comes, will really be, bursting alive because they do have a lot of activities back there and also mainly the golf course.
Right,
I love
right.
it.
So what can you do that you can spread your name around? Little water bottles with your business card or a private label attached, and you can print those for pennies at Wistaprint. They're so easy to create. So just water goes a long way on a hot day.
Sure.
Be there, just give it away.
Okay.
Okay.
Perfect. Well, thank you.
Or you can also, say, hey, I'm a local realtor. I'm doing a food drive. I'm trying to help North Fulton charities right now, or whatever, food pantry, something local. I'm doing a food drive. Would you allow me to put a box here? Plaster your name all over that box. Remember, one of our culture points is to come from contribution. Don't ask for business. You never ask for business on the first, second, or third meeting.
Yeah, but you
You
can show
you
up.
ask them what you can do to do for them.
You can be wearing your KW hat or your KW jacket or something though.
And it's okay to give out your business cards because you want to keep in touch.
Just an extra note on that, Travis, is I know we're all eager to hand out our business cards, but what's most important is that we get their information.
Right.
Right.
Yep, that's even better.
Don't hand them the card and expect your phone to ring off the hook. You got to extract their information.
Right. No, yeah, of course.
Cool. Well, I want to be respectful of your time, Elena. Do you have just another moment?
Yep.
Okay. Any other thoughts, questions? Elena was gracious enough to give us some of her time and expertise today. We have been recording this for those that popped on, just a moment ago. Corey, I see that you have now shown your face. So is that because you have a question?
Yes.
Okay.
Hi. It's so nice to meet you. I really enjoyed your story. I mean, it's amazing that your trajectory coming in and as a refugee and how you have overcome so many challenges and you've really turned, there's been a kind of a term like turning your mess into success or your challenges into opportunities. And so I really respect that. And I just wanted to say that. And really, I don't really have a question for you necessarily, except, well, one thing I want to also point out my admiration for walking into the office and saying, like, why wouldn't you hire me? And first of all, why can't I talk to the head of this office? Like, what's the problem? It's going in with expectation and believing in yourself. So I think that's what it's all about. And but I guess, for a new agent, I heard some of your advice and, I'm taking it all to heart, but I really don't even have a question I just wanted to just express my admiration and gratitude for you being here today.
Well, thank you
That's
so
awesome.
much
Thank
for
you for
saying
sharing
that,
that.
Corey. That's super sweet. But we all have that. And you do too. And you can, walk into the client's home and say, why wouldn't you hire me? I'm the best you got. And I'm here right now. Nobody else is, so sign right here. Let's get your house sold. or let's get, let's find you the home of your dreams.
Yeah, we've talked about like this idea of like if you are, not particularly experienced or don't have a track record of, a bunch of sales in the neighborhood or anything like that, and the person's like, well, why should I hire you? And you look them right in the face and you say, well, you should hire me because there's you're not going to be able to find anyone that cares as much as I do, and you're not going to be able to find anyone that's going to work harder than me.
Exactly.
So why
I'm the
wouldn't you
best
hire
for
me?
the job because I have no other business. You're going to be my full-time,
Yeah,
concern. They're
right.
not going to get it from any other agent, guaranteed.
Right. I mean, what's the worst that could happen is they laugh, and say, "That's good." Say, "I'm serious. I got no other clients right now, so you're my guy. Okay, I'm ready 100% of the time, working for you."
Yep.
And they're
Oh,
gonna be like, "You know what? I never expected to hear of that from a realtor, and I think I like you."
And people appreciate the honesty. They don't care how many homes you sold. They don't care how much experience you got. You're licensed and
Here, speak
you're
a little
honest,
closer to the
you're
mic.
authentic. That's all they want.
Speak just a little closer to the mic. You faded out for a second.
I said, if you are honest and authentic, they will trust you.
Yes, very much
if
agree.
can I say one more thing? The other thing that I took away from what you were saying was you basically you're going after what you want. You're identifying what you want. And I shared this with the group a while back. There was a video of a woman who talked about asking for what you want and being willing to fail 90% of the time
Mhm.
in your effort to achieve that 10%. And so it's willing to fail, willing to rise up from your failures. And your point about going into like setting up an appointment, even if you don't know what to do. And then, so in a sense, obviously you want to, if you get maybe a seasoned agent or somebody to help you, or you prepare for that meeting, you do your best, but you also have to be willing to fail in those meetings, but by practicing, it's all practice. And I actually did that today. So I haven't had any sales at all. I'm a brand new agent and I'm coming from the corporate world. So I sat with a couple today that I'm doing cold calling and prospecting 2 days ago. And I sat with them for an hour and 20 minutes and talked with them. And I talked about this 10% going after what you want. And I mean, it was great. And and then they told me about somebody else who is a friend of theirs who's handicapped or something and needs to move out of their house they're on the second floor. And I said, well, does that person need any help? And they said, oh yeah, they might need some help. So I mean, it's just asking. All
Yeah.
they can do is
Just
no.
asking.
Like no one's gonna yell at you for asking if you can help them.
And
Right.
can I tell you something else? They don't know your scripts.
Right. Right.
If
Say
you
that, say
mess
that again,
up,
please. Say that
they
again.
have no clue you messed up. So just keep going.
Yeah, and they don't know that I've not had one sale. I say
And they don't have to.
I say, with all my clients, my goal is always to, help you get the best price for your home with the least amount of hassle and in the shortest amount of time, or whatever timeline works best for you, and take you to closing.
Yep.
I mean, it's a script.
And
But they
protect you
don't know
along the
it's
way,
a
right?
script.
But
Right.
let's say Corey, you missed one of those. You forgot one of those phrases. Like they don't, like Elena was saying, like they don't know your script, right?
Right.
So like they don't know that you forgot something. You just say whatever you're gonna say with confidence, and it's all good.
And yes, and
Yes.
authenticity. To
Yeah.
your point, that's really important to me, to be authentic, because I
Yes.
can't operate anyway. And so
And they know it. They smell it.
yeah, they do.
Yeah, and it's in the tone that you use. If you are, um, you kind of, you have this like air of patience in your voice, and you have this air of concern in your voice. I mean, again, it's authentic, but you don't have to, like, you're not saying to yourself, okay, let me be authentic. That's just the way you are.
Right. But that a person has to embody that, and they have to come with, I mean, I personally don't think about that, just because I feel like I'm already there with
Mhm.
that. But other people, I've heard comments like, they're thinking a lot about, like, oh, the other person is thinking, what does this person want out of the transaction?
Yeah.
Or they're concerned that, they're really overthinking the situation, and they're thinking that this other person is having all these objections, and they're trying to almost anticipate and answer them, rather than just guiding the conversation, um, in the way that you want it to go.
What I'm hearing, Corey, is you saying, don't listen to respond, listen to understand.
Right.
Yes.
Always, always listen to understand.
Right.
And if it makes, we actually just had a listing appointment with a potential client where, we came in with one plan and it ended up being something totally different, because after asking a couple of questions, the answers were not, we're not going to have them fix up their house for us to sell it. We're going to go about it in a totally different way.
Well, little closer to the mic. Little closer to the mic.
Yeah. So, we had the listing presentation where I had to scrap my entire script because we understood, after asking a couple of questions, that the traditional way of listing that house is not going to work. So, once I regrouped, I said, okay, here's what I'm hearing from you, and this is how we're going to go about this. And it's going to become a knock swap transaction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And, because, we're certified as knock swap agents, and our office is one of several offices in all of the city that has that capability, we're going to have this business. But if we told them, oh no, you need to put 50,000 into your house, and you know pack up all of your clutter, and let's get you staged while you're living here with 2 children and a dog, it would never work. It just would never work. Do you see where I'm going with that? You have to be able to regroup and to say, okay, the script here isn't going to work. Let's come up with something creative and solve the situation.
Right. What I hear, though, what I know, I mean, I've known you for a long time, so I know that you have this ability, but you know how to keep the conversation flowing with the seller. You know how to keep the conversation flowing with the buyer. You're
Right.
able to listen to understand, because you're not thinking about what you're going to say. You've already internalized all that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, and that didn't come automatically. I'm sure that took some training and practice.
It took years of training. Yes, of course, it always does.
Yeah. Okay. Does anyone have any final questions for Elena? And we will give her a huge round of applause. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your wisdom and sharing your story. There's parts of that I wasn't aware of. So I appreciate you sharing that. And you are welcome back anytime. I hopefully will not get a private message later saying, why'd you say that? But I suspect that Elena would be open to any follow-up questions, or, hey, I remembered I
Absolutely.
had a question that we might have in the future. Elena is a leader in the office. She is a top producer. I applaud your 2020. I am excited to see you at the top of the list for 2021. And as you, of course, know, I'm here to help you however I can.
I think so.
And I just appreciate you imparting your wisdom to our group today, and I picked up a number of nuggets, and I suspect everyone else did too. So thank you. Anyone else have any parting words?
Well, I just want to thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate you giving me the opportunity to share. And Bill, you are not out of line. I am always open for questions. Feel free to pass my cell phone number. I respond very well to text messages, even if sometimes I cannot talk.
What is your
So,
number real fast so I can record it without having you look it up?
678-467-1687.
Hey, Elena,
Hey,
it's Kathy.
hey, Kathy. How are you?
All right.
There you are. Hey,
Here.
hey, superstar.
How are you doing?
Good, good, good.
Donna, were you trying to say something? Looked like you.
Nope, just wanted to say thank you to Elena for her time and all of her sharing her knowledge with us.
Thank you,
I
guys.
truly appreciate it. Thank you, Elena.
Perfect. All right,
Anytime.
Thank you so much.
I'm gonna
Okay.
hit the stop button.